This episode is brought to you by Americas Rehab Campus. Get on the road to recovery with the best rehab in beautiful Arizona. Dial 1-833-272-7342. That's 1-833-ARC-REHAB.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are now tuned in to the ARCast.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the ARCast. My name is Buddha, and I'm in the studio today with one of my homegirls. I was very excited. When she was on her way over here, man. We've been rescheduling this shit over and over again because she can't get her time right.
Right.
Nah, I'm just messing with her. Yeah, I'm so blessed that she's here in the studio today, and she's got a good energy with her. She came all the way down. She's doing fantastic stuff. Everyone out there, get your asses out your seats right now and give a huge round of applause to my homegirl, Kasey Fierros.
Thank you.
Yeah. Sorry if I offended anyone with saying to get your asses off. I'm just in a good mood today. So, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. It's not too hot today, so it's a beautiful day.
It's not too hot. I know you're a little nervous when I said I had to turn the air off. I apologize.
I am, man. I'm starting getting hot flashes now.
Hey, and you know what? For reals, though, not even like any bullshit. We did have to reschedule it, but these were completely valid rescheduling.
Valid.
Because you do a lot of really cool things that I want people to know about. So what was the reason that we had to reschedule for the first time?
So the first time, the reason is we actually had a little baby colt. I work at a ranch, and my horse went into labor.
That's awesome. I'm gonna give the horse another round of applause right there.
Thank you.
So it's a baby colt. What is his or her name?
Honestly, we haven't named him yet. We're learning his personality, but it's between Tyson and Romeo because he's a lover, but he's also a fighter.
Oh,
so.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. So you actually live on a ranch, or do you work on one? How does that work?
I reside there, and I'm also working there as well. We are actually getting up to par to try to do an equine program.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. I mean, it's a beautiful thing waking up and seeing, my view is so beautiful with the horses. Just loving every day how my life changed.
Yeah, no, I think that's fantastic. Mike, if you're listening, brother, she got some horses, man. I think that's cool.
Yes.
We love the equine programs and everything like that. I think that's awesome. Where in Arizona is your ranch? Is it here in Tucson, or is it
outskirts?
Here
in Tucson. It's more towards the south of Tucson, out there on San Joaquin and Bop Road.
Oh, dope. Okay.
Yeah, it's beautiful. We have 12 and a half because we have another baby on the way.
Wow.
Another horse due in about July, August.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm always passing by there. I live near so I'm always going down there. That's a far drive, man.
It is, man.
So for real, thank you so much for coming through and everything like that. I know you're also doing a lot of other stuff too. I know you said you were just getting back into school, things that we can talk about. You know what I'm saying? You want to fill them in?
Absolutely. So right now I'm actually doing my RSS, my Recovery Support Specialist certification. I'm actually wanting to get a stronger job in the field. BHT, Recovery Support Specialist. I just want to get out there, and I want to be able to share my story with others addicts that are struggling, others that are also in recovery and still struggling. I just want to be a positive aspect to people. I want to help change people's lives, or actually even, meeting other people, seeing other people, getting to know other people, change my life as well. Wow,
that's beautiful, man. I think that's fantastic, and I'm a firm believer that there's no such thing as coincidences, and even everything, not to go too far, off topic or anything, but I mean, even before we started scheduling you coming in here, there was so many similarities. My very, very awesome and amazing shout out to my cousin Tiffany. I know she's out there listening right now.
What's up, Tiff?
What up, Tiff? And then, Ray, Alicia. I call her Bo. That's her nickname.
Yep,
Bo.
I heard Bo too. I know Alicia went to kindergarten together.
Shout out to my compa Richie and Donna. I know they're out there too. So.
Yes. I went to high school and I went to elementary with Richie.
That's so cool, man. Yeah, no, it's awesome. And that's why I knew the moment that we got all those connections, I was like, all right, this is going to be a dope episode. I'm excited. I'm a little bit sad, though, because the whole time that you were here, I don't think we ever really had that much of a conversation. We never got a chance to chop it up or anything like that.
I was more quiet. In the time when I was here residential, I was kind of still lost, still wondering, is this what I want? Is this where I'm supposed to be? When it came to IOP, amazing program. I love the IOP program here. My light started coming back. I started finding myself. I started, being a little bit more sociable. And then to be honest with you, man, every time I try to peek in here, I didn't know if I was in trouble just to be looking. This is a pretty dope studio.
Hey, man, shout out to Mike, man. Mike is awesome. But, no, I mean, things always happen as they should, right? And this is the perfect time right now. And, as the ARCast, what we typically do is we start from the beginning, because what this is all about for anybody who's listening, if this is your first time hearing this, we talk about recovery stories and we go deep into the history of whoever's in here telling their story, just so hopefully if you're out there and you may be lost or maybe struggling with something yourself, you could find something to relate to, you know what I mean? Because it's all about the community, right?
Absolutely.
So let's start from the beginning. Kasey, where are you from? Where were you born?
I was born here, Tucson, Arizona.
Okay.
Lived here most of my life. I mean, I've lived in Phoenix, still Arizona though. Never really lived out of state. Always said I was gonna move out of state, but never. I can't leave Tucson. I love Tucson. I am gonna be 39.
Oh man.
Time flew a lot.
39, you don't even look 39, yo, for real. Like straight up. You moisturize or some shit out there on the ranch.
Oh man, it's that sun. It's that sun and that sweat, man.
Oh, there you go. It keeps your skin looking young, man. But what about growing up? Did you have any siblings?
I did not have any siblings biologically. I did have someone who I referenced to as my brother, which is my first cousin. Unfortunately, he's not with us anymore. He did get murdered back in 2008. I guess that's where mainly my addiction started.
Okay.
In 2008.
And what about your parents? Did you have both of your parents growing up?
I was always raised by a single mom and a single grandma. Awesome women. My grandma did pass away. My mom is still here with us, and she's just been my rock and my support. And
that's awesome.
I want to be like her one day. Like, she's my hero.
That's awesome. No, shout out to her. And I'm so sorry to hear about, the loss of your brother. Going into that a little bit, just curious. Your biological father, was he ever in the picture? Did you know who he was or anything?
So my biological father, I did get to meet him when I was about the age 9. Sad part is I look exactly like him, but thank you for the good looks. No, I'm just kidding. He was very absent from my life. He ended up, causing controversy between my family. He was actually, he was in a bad place in his life, and he basically set my mom up and sent her to prison. So at 10 years old, my mom did end up going to prison. And, she was a strong woman, never been in trouble, not even a traffic ticket, worked at Raytheon, and to get her absent from my life, like that was, and then from your biological father was like a horrible thing any child has to experience in a moment.
Wow. Okay. No, yeah, most definitely. That seems like, I've never understood when people do acts of vengeance or shit like that when knowing that it can directly affect the kids, right? It's like almost like they don't think the shit through. As far as addiction goes, was there any addiction in your family from your mom or your dad?
My mom does not even have addiction problems. She's still trying to understand it, but she's becoming very understanding. Before, she couldn't even address the fact that, her daughter was an addict. And for her to hear her say, my daughter was an addict, and, at the moment was like a beautiful thing because she came to realization that, I did have a problem. I can say as far as my biological father, I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure he did, but I don't really talk to him to know or to say anything about his life. Okay. Cousins, they just, experimental. I would guess I was the pick of the litter to get actually the addiction. I usually tell them I'm the black sheep, but they don't see me like that anymore. We're all equal.
Yeah, no, for sure. And you know what, dude? Honestly, doing these episodes and being in this field for so long, I feel like this whole facility is full of black sheep. You know what I mean? But at the same time, too, it makes sense. Like if God is making all of these amazing things happen, he's got to get some unique soldiers, right, on the field.
Right?
You know what I mean? So it's like a lot of square pegs don't fit in the round holes type of thing. That's the way that I've always seen it. Growing up, you had two strong women in your life, and those are huge blessings. I was raised by strong women as well. Did you have a lot of family growing up, things like that?
Yes, I actually have a lot of girl cousins, very little guy cousins, but majority of girl cousins. I'm actually the first generation out of I'm not the first generation. I'm the second generation cousin. So there's 3 generations right now, and I'm the second generation, but the oldest. So I was always closer to the first generation because we all grew up together. They're, cousins are cousins. You grow up doing mud pies, going swimming in your great grandma's backyard. Like I had a great childhood. I guess you can say when it did get a little dark for me, and I do not blame my grandmother at all. But at the time when my mom was in prison, my grandmother had a boyfriend. I want to say this was probably when I was 7. So my mom was not in prison yet, but she was actually working 2 jobs. I was a single mom. So my grandma would watch me a lot. And, I was actually molested by my grandmother's boyfriend at the time. So that was pretty intense, didn't say nothing about it. So I guess that's when a lot of my problems started as a kid.
I'm very sorry to hear that happened to you. These are conversations that people in my family and I have been having a lot recently too. Just things have resurfaced. You know how it is. Trauma stays with you for a long time.
Absolutely.
Did you have anybody at that time that you were able to run to and talk to? Did you have anyone that you could open up to, or was this something that you kept to yourself?
It was actually my brother.
Your brother?
My brother. He was, let me see. I was about 7. So we're like probably about 4 to 6 years difference. I don't know. I can't think right now. My math is really bad.
Yeah, it's okay.
But he was my rock. He was my best friend. He was the only one that I could trust. To be honest with you, like I didn't want it to happen to him, so I was very protective with him. Very protective.
Oh man, okay. But other than that though, your childhood was good though. You had family, you had friends. You guys did a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah.
How long was your mom gone?
My mom was gone for about 3.5 years.
3.5 years.
Yeah, so she did miss, some things in like me transitioning from elementary to middle school. She wasn't, physically present. So that kind of bothered me a lot. But at the time, when you're that young, I had my grandma there. My grandma was my mom as well.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, during the time my mom was incarcerated, I did also get sexually assaulted and abused by want to say it's not a family member, but through marriage. I was probably around 11 and he was like 16.
Yeah.
So, that was another traumatic experience to add to my life. Like I said, I've been through it all. I mean, you ask me, man, I'll tell you everything, and I'm thankfully I am now able to talk about that without having to, resort to anything else.
No, I really appreciate you being able to be open. I know these are not easy conversations. There's a lot of people in my life who have struggled with those types of things. It's a hard thing to open up about, but at the same time too, in hopes that whoever's listening on the other end, that they say we're 2 or more talk about God, that he's there. You know what I'm saying? So I'm hoping that whoever's listening, that maybe, you feel God's presence or something, being able to offer some healing to whoever's out there.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And, trying to gather my words here, such a difficult thing for a child to have to experience. Like you said, mentally, you're just a young child. And it's like for people taking advantage of a child's innocence, that to me is the most evil thing in the world, right? And the fact of not being able to open up or being afraid of what's going to happen and the shame and the guilt that comes when it's not your fault at all. This is a monster that's doing these things. You know what I'm saying? I'm so grateful that I'm able to sit here and talk with you and see that smile on your face, man. Because I know there's a lot of people out there that may be listening to what you're saying right now about the abuse and are wondering how does she have the courage to even go into that studio and say this shit on a microphone? You know what I mean?
Exactly. Courage. It took a minute to get courage. It also, like I said, I feel like my message right now for people who have been sexually abused, sexually assaulted, molested, even by family members, if you feel like nobody's there, there's always somebody there. You just gotta, grab that courage. And it did take me a minute to grab that courage, but as if I can prevent it from happening to anyone else now and sharing that story and sharing that they don't have to go down that dark path I took, or if they're on that dark path that I took, that there is hope. There's always going to be hope. And there's a light at the end of that tunnel. And it took me, like I said, it took me a long time of active usage. It took me a long time of even like, I can even say, I even had suicide thoughts, like I didn't want to be here anymore. I didn't love myself. So why, if I didn't love myself, how can anybody else love me? What's my purpose here? I could not find purpose in my life. Wow. It took a long time, a battle that I struggled with so long.
Wow. And growing up during that time, as you continued to get older and you were going through the schooling and all this and that, did you end up graduating from high school? Like, did you do pretty good in school academically?
Academically, I struggled a little. When it came to time to be approved for sports, though, I was always on my game for about the first half, and then the second half I'd have to sit out because of my grades. I did struggle a little bit with grades. I just couldn't, be focused. I always felt, I guess you can say I did feel sorry for myself, but it wasn't so much feeling sorry for myself. It was more like shamed. I held this shame for a long time from when I was little because I was, shameful. Well, what if these people find out that I'm this way? Yeah. Or, I was also struggling like with being gay. That is not very, back then, and when my family was like really bad. You cannot be gay. Yeah. My mom, that's one thing me and my mom are working on. My mom still struggles with it, She has hope, for me to be white dress. She can walk me down the aisle. And I told her that can still happen, but we're still working on that as family.
Yeah, I'm going to put these white boots on.
Right? Wear these white boots.
Heck yeah.
But as far as academically, I did struggle, and I was always, one thing I was always compared to my mom. My mom went to the same middle school. My mom went to the same high school. Okay. Oh, you're Rosie's daughter, this
Hi,
and that.
Mijita, you look so much like your mom.
Exactly. Your mom was a great athlete, so I feel like I always had to be at that potential as my mom, I never sat there and tried to get my own identity. And like I said, and that's the reasoning why is I always wear a mask. My mom's an awesome person. She's an awesome athlete, and she could probably still beat me in basketball and softball till this day. You know what I mean? Like she's good. I gotta hand it to the woman. She's good. But being compared all the time, I always felt like, okay, I had to be my mom's footsteps, not my own. So that was something I did struggle with. I did graduate though. I did get my diploma. It took me a month later. I was not able to graduate with my class, but I still did it. And that's a shout out to my dropout preventionist at Pueblo. Her name was Ana Tarazon. That's who I'm actually, residing with. She's still in my life. She's still doing great positive things for me. And that's, that's probably the first person I did connect to about like my sexual abuse and trauma that happened.
Man, I mean, dude, it's to see how much growth that, from everything that you've experienced and don't even sweat, like, as far as like the academic shit, dude, I felt 8th and 12th grade. Like I was on some bullshit, you know what I mean? We all do it when we're kids. We have this dumb stuff. But I mean, I'm looking at this story right now, just at the beginning of this, right? There's a young lady who didn't have her father growing up, right? Was thrown into horrible situations where there was absence from your mom as well. Did you ever have those thoughts too of like your dad? Why wasn't he in the picture?
I always wondered what a dad was. I didn't know what a dad was. Everybody would have, their parents at recitals or, school events, sports. I had my grandma and my mom. Yeah. I didn't know what a dad was, it didn't really, I guess, click to me until honestly to like about, he was in my life and I'm like, who are you? Some stranger at 9 years old, like, don't know who you are. And somebody who tried to be a father, but he still was absent. So I didn't know what a dad was. That's all I can say is, I kind of, I guess I envied other people and I kind of resented other people for having both parents. Now that I'm at the age that I am, like I realized, I had a mom and a dad and she's, still standing in front of me. Like, she's amazing. She showed me sports. She showed me how to change a tire. She showed me how to do a lot of independent things that a lot of girls, sorry to say, that have dads that don't know how to do it because their dad does it for them. You know what I mean? So she helped me become more independent at a younger life, but I didn't see it that way. Like I said, I just had this mask on that blocked me from seeing everything in the world that was positive and, hid me from everything that was negative, which I thought it was hidden, but it wasn't.
You said, what year did you graduate from high school?
I graduated in 2004.
2004. Okay, so I know you said that it was around 2008 where the iceberg kind of just broke. That's where everything, you had lost your brother.
Mm-hmm.
Up until that point, through high school, middle school, things like that, had you dabbled in any substances? Like I'm sure you did what teenagers do, but had you gotten into them like real?
I also struggled like with my weight. So I, met a couple people in high school who did cocaine, was doing it. I was addicted to like diet pills, I guess you can say, because everybody in school had like this fit body and I was still kind of, chunky.
Yeah.
And so I always felt like I had to fit in. Like I wanted to put that mask on to fit in, to look equal, to be, that pretty girl walking down in a baseball uniform. You know what I mean? Like I wanted to be looked at. So yeah, I did experience, unfortunately I did experience pot with my cousins.
Yeah.
We're all young.
Hey, that's the wrong drug to use.
Right?
You trying to lose that shit. You'd be eating ice cream at 2 a.m.
Right? I thought I was going to drown when I got in the pool. Like, it was an experience that I do not like pot. I can tell you that for sure.
That's funny.
The drug I should have probably liked, I did not like. But anyways, no. But yeah, I did experience with pot and with cocaine. And when 2008 came, I was still drinking. I mean, in a Latino family, like, you go to parties, like, your tias are asking you, hey, try this wine cooler, and it's nothing bad.
Yeah.
I mean, it is bad, but it's not. I don't know. You have your pros and cons. I can't say it's not bad, but like, some my aunts, I'm pretty sure if they would have known then that I did have that addict chromosome in me, I'm pretty sure they would not have given it to me.
But you know what though, too, and forgive me if I'm wrong, but this is an assumption that I have because of my experience with the vaqueros and like, the people that run ranches, and there's a lot of drinking and coke out there, like a lot. I don't know if you know my best friend, but you're on the south side. He's over there near like 3 Points area.
Yes.
But
so mine's more like towards 3 Points area. Yeah.
So his name is, and him and his wife, he live out there, but they're always over there at that spot. I don't even know what it's called. I feel like a dumbass. I'm sure this is what people feel like talking to me about technology and shit. Like over there on where they do like the bull rides and all that type of stuff on the east side, or on the west side, way out there.
West side, yeah. So I'm not sure. I know where you're talking about, but I can't think of the name either as well. But yeah, we're out there. As a matter of fact, it's funny you mentioned that. We did do a ride for San Judas, and there's a lot of dancing horses, and my horses, like they have nothing on them, man. Those horses get down, but a lot of drinking, they're passing beers and everything. And this just recently happened, like almost a year ago.
Wow.
So I like being in that environment sometimes, you kind of get dang, man, maybe just one beer, but as for me, some people that are not, well, I can't say not addicts anymore, but some people who have went through rehab and have recovered can still drink.
Yeah.
I'm not one of them. I choose not to. I choose not to drink because, I just don't want that one bad day to where the alcohol leads to something more.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's all it takes is for that ugly voice to start talking to you.
Oh yeah. Shit, and that voice is still there.
Yeah. No, he's just fucking in handcuffs, just sitting there all mad. But no, I mean, okay, so you did that, typical high school shit, drinking, smoking, experimenting, but you graduated, you did what you needed to do. So take us to 2008 with your brother. What was the situation with that? How come he was murdered? I'm so sorry to hear that.
Thank you. So in 2008, it was October 13th of 2008. And it's not funny, but now that I think about it, it's like, man, you gotta watch what you tell people when you're mad. Because the day before, so there's a blessing that came out of this, though. My nephew, my brother's girlfriend, I love her to death. My sister-in-law, shout out to Stephanie. She, was pregnant, and they were expecting a girl. October 9th, my nephew was born. He was a little boy. Identical, 99.99, my brother's kid. Looks identical to him, except taller, I think. And, that day was a day of darkness. The day before, we actually got an argument to where I said some things that I never forgave myself for. I wanted him just to be present in his kid's life. He actually, we were kind of struggling with him. He was falling into the gangs. Okay. He just wanted to fit in too. And, he never jumped into a gang, but, he had his homies that were, not the best influence on him. And so, when I found out he was, he took my Xbox from the house, I'm like, I get home, my Xbox is gone. I tell him I want it back. He's like, I'll have it for you tomorrow. The last words we said to each other was, fuck you. Sorry, I don't know if I'm supposed to say that.
No,
but,
you're fine.
So we were both calling my mom that night, complaining about each other. My mom saying we're both telling each other how much we love each other, but I was so stubborn to call him. The next morning, I was contemplating going to work because I wanted my Xbox. Like, sad to say, I wanted my Xbox. And he, I'm like, I'm not going to call him. I'm not going to call him. And then I remember the day completely, like, so vivid, like it just happened. But around 12 p.m. in the afternoon, on October 13th, that Monday, calling and calling, he's not returning my phone calls, just getting, I remember back then we had ringback tones, and his ringback tone was My Life by The Game. Oh, man. And so I'm listening to him like, why isn't he answering? Well, then I get a phone call from my cousin who works at a salon that my aunt owns. And she's like, what happened to David? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And she's like, well, Brian, which is a cousin of ours, she's like, he called and told us that David got shot. And I'm like, what? My mom hasn't called me. So I was like, man, he's probably at the hospital. Because let me remind you, like 3 weeks before that, we were just in the hospital with him because he got in a fight. He broke his pinky, or his pinky nail came off. They're trying to sew it on. Yeah. And so, and he was all crying. And I'm like, how you want to be a gang member if you're sitting here in the hospital bed crying? You know what I mean? Like, you have a better life. You have a son on the way. So, yeah, that then I remember calling my mom, and my mom's like, you got to get to, and it happened at the Circle K right down the street from my mom's house, which is literally on 12th and Drexel. We pull up, and I don't remember seeing him on the floor. I remember seeing the tape, and I remember and my mom always, would tell him he wanted to go to the military. After his son was born, his life changed. He wanted to do better for himself. He was at the wrong place at the wrong time. He was with one of his friends who were wearing red. Someone in a stolen vehicle, pulled up, and my brother went to fight with his arms, and they had him on camera, and that guy shot him point blank. Gun jammed. Man. Let me remind you, gun jammed. All you see is everybody running, and he ran this way instead of into the store. The guy got the gun again, shot him, and it went in. I believe it punctured his lung and came out through his chest. So,
oh my God, how horrible!
Yeah, it was a very horrible experience, and like I said, that day was so vivid to me. And I remember wanting to run under the tape, and you're in so much disbelief, So having that crime scene there, thank God they did catch the person who killed him. He is doing life. So, that would never bring him back. But like I said, it was, a blessing that we did have my nephew, and I do have my nephew. And I can't say I never saw that as a blessing, but because once the drugs started, I got addicted to methamphetamine for years. I finally, because of that incident, I finally confessed to my family. I had my own intervention. I got my cousins. Didn't want to have the tias because that's just too much, And at that time, my family was so supportive. They all showed up. And I remember one thing that my godfather told me. He's like, because he's the first one I confessed that I had a drug problem. He's like, if you disclose this to your family, you're going to always be looked as an addict, no matter what. And that time, I didn't know what an addict really was. That time, I'm like, I got this, That time, my family was willing to take me to a rehab facility. They were willing to take, and I wasn't ready. I was not ready. I'm like, I'm fine. I got it under control. Well, unfortunately, that led into other drug usage. Yeah. As fentanyl, heroin. I mean, you name it, I tried it, except shrooms. I was scared to try shrooms. I don't know why, but yeah. Like I said, all of those, the sexual abuse, the molestation, the losing my brother was just all in that mask. Yeah, that I could not just take off. And
it's scary because when you're wearing that protection, it's almost like don't feel. Yeah. Don't show any emotion, because emotion's a weakness. Mm-hmm. You just gotta stuff it up. You gotta handle your business, right? It's like a kettle, like a kettle on a pot kettle. Like you're just building up so much that eventually it's gonna explode. Correct. Right? Yeah. And Earlier, you when you said about your brother, you said that there were things that you said that you could never forgive yourself for. Has that changed? Do you forgive yourself for those things now?
Yes, I do.
Good. Okay. Because I was going to say, I mean, sibling rivalry, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we are never supposed to take any moment for granted, of course, right? But it's like brothers and sisters, we fight. But that's how the enemy works, is by allowing you to feel that shame,
Exactly.
allowing you to feel that guilt, make you feel like, oh man, like, why did you say that? A good person wouldn't have said this. A good person wouldn't have let this person take advantage of them. A good person, all of these ugly.
Yeah, and that's something that was very repetitive in my life. Like I lost my, faith in God. I lost my faith in my higher power. I'm like, especially growing up in a Catholic environment, of Catholic family. My aunts were, like I said, I was a black sheep. I was the first one to have tattoos out of even the first generation. I was the first one to come out, gay or confused, bisexual. Didn't know what I was at the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it was wrong. It was wrong. So every time I did have to go to church every Sunday, I felt wrong. I felt, like I said, I would just put that mask on and walk into church. And it was very non-accepting in my family. But now my family is great. And now, my family still sits there and tries to talk to my mom. It's not going to change. She's been like this since she was 11 years, 9 years old. But, my mom, when she's ready to come to terms with it, she'll come to terms with it. And I don't hate her for that. I used to hate my mom a lot for that. Not being able to accept me or let me be who I want to be. I felt like I always had that smile, But, it wasn't my mom, now my mom, I love her. I call her, it's killing me right now not to be able to call her and let her know what's going on. You know what I mean? I have that bond with my mom that's so powerful now that nothing's going to keep us apart.
Wow. No, that's great. And I do want to make sure that I acknowledge the boss shit that you said. I don't even know if you realized it, but you were like, I did my own fucking intervention. I called everyone up and brought them. I've never had anybody say that. Dude, you're obviously a badass. So I had to make sure that I gave you props with that, because got to give them when they're due, right? How were you introduced to, those substances like the methamphetamine and stuff? It was just, do you feel like it was these ugly energies that were just around you during that time that were influencing you?
It was during, let me see, I was probably about 21, 22 when I started meth. Cocaine was in high school. The girls were doing it in the bathroom. So like I said, I wanted to be part of one of the pretty girls. Well, I had went to a quinceañera one time, and I met someone, and she did coke as well. So we were partying, drinking. Yeah. And I had given her money to go, pick up. And she ended up getting meth. Well, when we went back to her house, I'm ready to set out a line. And, her nephew actually told me, he's like, that's meth, right? And I was like, what? What's meth? I didn't even know what meth was. He's like, glass. He's all telling me different names. And I'm like, does it do the same thing as coke? And they're like, pretty much, yeah. So, when they handed me the pipe, I'm like, I don't smoke crack. They're like, it's not crack. And I'm like, well, I don't smoke it. So I tried it because I didn't want to look stupid. They're like, are you serious? You didn't know what you're buying? You know what I mean? I tried it. It was kind of that pressure in the moment. And I can tell you, I didn't end up realizing I wasn't home till 4 or 5 months later.
Dang.
My life just...
From that one moment.
From that one moment, my lips touched that glass pipe. It was a wrap. And
I know you said, with the insecurities growing up of wanting to be, or feeling at least like you're not pretty, right? Yeah. Feeling those lies because it's not true, and then feeling like you wanted to lose weight and all of these things. I feel like that drug is just not a good combination for that shit. It's just not, because it's. I can only imagine. I mean, we see people all the time, right, that come through that are on that shit. How long did you do that for?
I started meth when I was about 21. I'm 39, so like I said, I'm not going math, but it was a very long time.
Yeah.
I've been sober for 15 months now. So actually, the 23rd of this month would be 15 months.
How did that work though? Living out? Were you always living out there on that ranch, or was there times where you lived in the city?
No, I lived in the city. I've always lived on the south side of 12th and Bilby area. I just hit it very well. I was able to function except for like my time management. My time management has always been a problem since I was younger, but it was more of a problem when I was using meth. But just being able to hide it, not being, my mom always working. Like I said, I was a single mother. Till this day, she's always working, just keeping my distance. And, I always I remember meeting some lady one time and she's like, you don't know anywhere to buy this from? And I had met her that night at the same night that I had started meth, and I kept in contact with her. And I remember the one thing she told me, she was like, now she's probably in her 60s, but she was like 30 at the time. And she was just like, eventually within a year, I'm going to see you around all the people I know. You're going to know all the same people I know if you keep doing this drug. And I'm just like, I just do it here at home when my mom's not here, you know what I mean? Like, or I just do it when, not around.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, this lady was so damn right. A year later, I was at one of the houses and she showed up and she just was just like, she's on. And one thing she did tell me was like, I've known people who've been sober for 30 years and they still go back. She's like, addiction is always going to haunt you, And that replays in my mind, but now I don't take it as a negative that, there is that chance I could go back. Yes, there is that chance that, I could have that bad day, but I try to change that mentality to, okay, I'm having a bad day. Well, go take a ride, fall off a horse.
Yeah, absolutely.
Feel a different kind of adrenaline. Find something you're passionate about. Find, you don't have to be then just because everybody else has been sober for 30 years and relapse doesn't mean that can be you too.
Yeah.
I've heard, it just takes people longer. And I'm just, like I said, blessed that I have a strong mentality right now. And I plan on keeping that strong mentality. I
think that's a very important key is being aware. It's like the only thing I could really describe it to other than that would be like with my kids, for example. I give them kisses. I love them all the time. I tell them how much I care about them. Mm-hmm. But there's a chance. I think I'm always like that because there's always a chance that they're going to walk into the school and some fucking crazy kid with the gun's going to walk into the building. Absolutely. You know what I mean? So I always think about that as like, you have to be aware. Not being aware of it is being arrogant and thinking that you've got this and you've mastered this shit. And I've seen way too many people. Yeah. So someone texted me today that has gone through that exact same thing of just being too above everyone else. They don't fall under those categories.
That's the thing. That's the mentality I did have the first time I did try to get sober. On my own. Off of meth, and the sad part was I did go to a couple of places and they're like, oh, well, we can't really put you in rehab because meth is not really a drug that
take a nap.
That needs exactly. Go take a nap and eat, you'll be fine. The problem was my drug dealer was around the corner from my house. Still is. That's still around the corner from my mom's house. You know what I mean? And my mom's always taught me, like, don't run from your fears. Always run through them. Like, just bulldoze right through that. Like, why are you going to sit here, be scared for the rest of your life or live in fear of having to go move somewhere because you're scared to face your problems?
Bro, you're so blessed to have such a strong mom, man.
She's amazing, man. And like I said, it took me a long time. Any of my friends, I used to say, I hate my mom. And my mom's like, if I'm such a bad mom, why are our friends always here? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it was always like, but it took me a while to know, like, all my mom's want is for the best of me. And like, she's, like I said, if she has that strength in her blood and my grandma had that strength, like I can have that strength too.
Absolutely. You obviously do. That's real. No, I mean, that's great. And during that time, did you become all flaquita, all toothpicky and shit from the
let me say the first, like, maybe year, 2 years, yeah, I did. And after that, hell no. Like, I blew up fatter than what I am now. They know I've always wanted to lose weight and stuff. So I was always like, oh, I'm going to the gym or, oh, I'm doing this and doing that. But it did get to the point where my mom was like, no, you're doing something more because,
Mama knows.
Like, there was no hiding nothing from my mom or my grandma. But at the same time, like, I feel like they weren't ready to see it. Like I said, it took my mom years to finally admit. And on a court, because I have court issues too, on a court. I remember my recent issue, and I was actually going through that here at the ARC. I was looking at 12 to 30 years.
Really?
I got a drug charge, and it was my second to third offense. For sales. Never even was a drug dealer. I used to always tell the judge, like, look at my bank account. Look at my, I stole from my mom. And I'm not proud of it, but it's something that I do have to say because it's part of addiction, Mm-hmm. I stole from my mom. I vandalized my mom's house. The last go around was my rock bottom. And that's like, I would tell my mom and my cousin, I was just talking to my cousin about this morning. And she's like, what was your rock bottom? Like, when did that light hit that you needed help? She goes, because we all know you needed help. She's like, but when did you know? And I said, the day I was on the phone with my mom, screaming at her to send me at least $5. Like, to cash at me $5 because I needed to get high. I was going through the worst withdrawal ever. And I remember being in her bathroom and I punched after, this is so embarrassing, but I threw eggs all over her house. I don't know why. I was just mad. I wanted to break something and I didn't want to destroy the whole house. So I threw eggs all over her kitchen.
Yeah.
And they still talk and laugh about that day. But that day it was not something very funny. But I remember being in her bathroom and when I'm yelling at her, telling her how much I hate her and they, like she doesn't love me and that, like all I needed was $5. And she kept saying, she finally said no. And I punched her mirror. Until this day is a reminder of going in her bathroom. That mirror's still broken. And I didn't realize it wasn't just the broken mirror. It was me. I was broken.
Yeah, no shit.
And
wow.
It got to the point where I'm like, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing? I just destroyed my mom's house. Like, my mom worked very hard to put a roof over my head. And, I ran away. Granted, it took me still 2 weeks to get to rehab, but I did it.
Wow. And I know you said, I don't want to stay too much into the weeds. I really don't. But I know you said that you had even done with the fentanyl and stuff like
yes.
that. Well, I feel like that's an important topic to touch on just briefly because of, I've heard people say whole right? But when you start dabbling in that, it's like a whole
different experience. And that's so went from meth, it started getting to the point where meth wasn't doing anything for me. I started shooting up meth.
Wow.
Didn't know what I was doing. None of the people I used with, they didn't have needles. Yeah. So I found a way how to get needles. I was injecting myself wrong. It would hurt so bad, but it was a different high when I did get it. When that started not being able to become right, of course, you're in that environment, someone's like, well, why don't you try this? I hated fentanyl. I threw up so many times trying to try it. Nothing. About a week later, I was like, I can't do this crap anymore. I don't have money to get drugs. I don't have, I had somewhere to stay, but I chose not to stay at my mom's house. I was always on the streets. So it came to a point where, I had tried the drug again to see if my body would like it. I didn't throw up this time, but I ended up going to Kodak to go get help. And since I dropped dirty for fentanyl, they chose to put me on methadone because they felt I wasn't being honest when I told them, that's not my drug of choice. Actually, shooting up meth is. Yeah. And she's like, well, you have, fentanyl in your system, so we're going to put you on methadone. Well, I ended up getting addicted to the methadone.
Wow.
And so it came to the point where I was able to function sober. My mom was proud of me. I was working, but I was still taking my doses. But as my doses were increasing, it got to the point where I started saving my take homes. I wouldn't take them. I would just save them in a jar. So then, I ended up smoking fentanyl again because I tried to get off of methadone. And I remember calling an old friend and like, hey, I'm feeling this type of way. He's like, no, you have to wing yourself off of that. You can't just get off of it. He's all, come and smoke a pill and you'll feel better. Well, that was it. My life was over from there. It got to the point where I was doing both. Those jars that I saved, I was, chugging them and smoking. And actually the night before I did come to the ARC, I did try, killing myself by overdosing. I drank a jar of methadone and I probably smoked 20 pills before and nothing, and I was like, there has to be a purpose for me if I'm not being taken out by now,
Man.
Yeah.
I my heart and my heart goes out to you so much because all I could think about, man, it's like visualizing in my head. And it's weird because I normally don't get these type of thoughts when we're doing these interviews, but I can visualize in my head as a young, pretty little girl, that's just experienced how fucked up this world can be. Yep. And being victim to so much horrible things that have happened to them, not knowing where to run, not knowing where to hide, but knowing how to hide. And then, it's just, you're adding without even realizing it subconsciously, it's just adding to the stress and the chaos and everything going on in your life, right? When that situation happened with your mom and you broke the mirror, was there a voice? Was there something that happened that made you, like, did you ever have any type of a God shot where you were like, dude, this is, I've got to get my ass to rehab?
I did. That moment, like I said, I was, I punched the mirror and I'm just looking and like my face is like in 1,000 pieces. And I'm like, it's finally like, to me, it felt like I broke off that mask. And that mask was telling me like, this isn't you. What are you doing? Like, you have so much to live for. It was kind of weird to explain. Like, I had flashes of my grandmother, I had flashes of my mom. I had flashes of my cousins, my little cousins who looked up to me and that weren't allowed around me anymore because of my addiction. Just different experiences that my family had to deal with me, in that dark place. Like, like, I don't want these kids to think it's okay to do this to their parents. I don't want these kids to think I didn't love them when I have so much love to give, And unfortunately, when I was younger, I did want kids, and I was told I couldn't have kids. So that was like another burden I've always held in my heart, but now I'm seeing the doctor and hopefully I can, I'm still not going to give up.
Yeah.
I'm almost 40, so I got to do it before then. But, like I just wanted to, I don't know how to explain it. Then that moment of time, like it just
hit you.
Clicks. Like, and like I said, it still took me 2 weeks to get there. It still took me, my mom got home that night and I knew she was, I had the spare key. I took off in her car, went to get hired. And she says, the cops are looking for you. I'm just letting you know that. And my mom, that's not the first time she called the cops on me. And it got to the point, like, what am I doing? I sat there crying and like, what am I doing? I remember parking her car at McDonald's and like dipping. Like, I was like, I'm not going to go get arrested again. Cause let me remind you, in 2016, I had gotten drug paraphernalia charges. Was what they did. It was my first offense ever. So put me on probation. Well, then I ended up getting caught again, going to jail. I went with friends, like, oh, I'm going to take the rap for it. Well, nobody took the rap for it. So they hit me with prison time. I did 3 years in prison. Well, 2.5, so that was a whole nother experience in my life that I had to realize, and, oh, I'm going to change. 2019 comes when I get released. While I started drinking again, partying, my best friend, partying with other people that I met. Like, it's just drinking. It's not going to go anywhere. Went to, Coke. And then I went through a breakup that took a toll on me, and I can't blame that person because I think I was still trying to find an outlet because I wasn't ready to quit.
Wow.
I feel, I have a lot of parents that come up to me. I have a lot of, people who are still in active using message me like, hey, you're doing the damn thing. Like, we're proud of you. Like, how did you do it? Like, I need to go get services. I need to do this. And I'm like, I can't tell you how I did it. You have to be ready yourself and do it. I can guide you when you're doing it. I said, but you have to want it. If you're trying to do it for the wrong reasons, like for everybody else, there's many times where I tried to get sober because my grandma begged me. My grandma sat there and cried. My mom sat there and cried. And for those two women to see them cry, who don't cry, who I've always seen so strong, like, it still didn't faze me. I just still didn't care. Like, the kids even seeing me like, why do you do this? Why are you never here for our birthdays? Why are you, this person? Or, why are you going to your friend's house? Like, I would literally take them with me, tell my mom I'm going to the store, and I'd go pick up, you know what I mean? And they would be in the car. Like, that till this day still haunts me. And that's trauma for them now that I look at it, you know what I mean? And I don't know how to explain it, but like I said, that light, like all this stuff I'm explaining to you was in that moment, in that little time of when I punched the mirror and was like, what the hell are you doing? And then like for me, like I said, and for me, like I remember telling the bus driver for Suntrend, I was at the bus stop right here, and I was like, okay, you're going to drop me off in front of this rehab center. And if you see me try to get back on the bus, because I would get dropped off, wouldn't walk through, I would just walk away, or I would, just take the bus again. And I asked that bus driver, like, if you see me tomorrow trying to get on the bus, can you just please not pick me up or make me walk or do something? And she was just like looking at me like, okay, whatever.
It's okay.
Yeah. She's like, what are you talking about? But like I said, that night that I during that 2 weeks that after that incident happened at my mom's house, during that 2 weeks of trying to get to rehab, still using drugs, still doing this. I got to the point to where I woke up in the middle of the desert and I had gotten assaulted again and I got left for death. It got to the point to where like I was bleeding. I was really hurt.
Oh my God.
I literally was going through withdrawal so bad. And, I'm like, I'm all alone.
How you got there?
I did not know how I got there, and I literally just hit my knees. Like I hit the floor and I'm like, God, please, like asking my higher power, like, please help me. And it was so crazy because I, took the bus again. Upon tell you, this is like my 5th, 6th time within 2 weeks taking the bus this way. I stopped at the Showcase. I was like, I'm gonna get a Polar Pop. I was withdrawing really bad, and $20 flies out of nowhere and hits my shoe, and I'm like, oh cool, I could
crazy.
go get. I know. I was like, I could go score. So I got a Polar Pop. I got a Butterfinger. I could tell you exactly whatever the change was. Like I went and bought some pills, and I promised, myself, and I promised God, like, you helped me get the, and like, guys, now that I think about it, a lot of people tell me like that wasn't God, that was the devil trying to keep you away from rehab. You know what I mean? But I see it as like, I asked this favor in the time of need, and whether it was helping me or whether it was a choice to pick up or not, I still picked up. But like I said, I tried to end my life before I got here. And
was that with that 20?
I was with that 20. And
wow.
Nothing. Next thing you know, they're calling me in to come to detox, and I wake up like 7 days later. Like it was a really bad detox for me.
So this 20 that hit your foot was the 20 that you used to get the Polar Pop, to get the Butterfinger, which fucking bomb, by the way.
Yes,
right?
It is.
And you bought some pills, right?
Yes, I did.
That was the money that you tried to kill yourself with, those pills that you had right there. It's weird to me because I could see it either way. I've seen different situations in my life where God has tempted me. He's not necessarily tempted me because he doesn't do that, but there has been a temptation in front of me.
Absolutely.
And after I was able to nunchuck that shit and make it go away, right? I felt this sense of like, yeah, I did the right thing. I do feel like there are certain things in this world that happen for a reason. And it's hard to say if that was the devil, because it could have been, right? It could have been. But at the same time, too, though, was this after you hit the mirror?
Yeah, so this was within the 2 weeks after I hit the mirror.
Right? So, yeah, maybe it was the devil. Who knows? But I'm sitting here thinking, like,
well, like, that's the thing is, so, like, once I hit the mirror, like, I went on my own journey. I told my mom I'm going to rehab. So, my mom hadn't heard from me, so she thought I was in rehab,
Yeah.
And I literally, said I met the wrong people, hung out at apartments, hung out anywhere, dumpsters. It got to the point where I was dumpster diving. I never even thought I could even, like, see myself doing that ever. Like,
wow.
And it got to the point where, like, I was stealing. I stole from convenience stores. Thank God I didn't get caught, but people do. And it got to a point to where, like, just the whole journey, I think I needed to take by myself.
Yeah.
Not around the people I used to hang out with, not around my family, not around my friends who, I have 2 best friends, Denise and Dawn, and they've been through dealing with my shit since I was 15 years old, man. Wow. And, it's something I had to go for by myself. I had to feel alone. And even though I felt that loneliness every day of my life, I don't know how to explain it. Like I said, when you wake up in the middle of the desert and, your clothes are ripped, you're bleeding, have no one there to coddle you, no one there to tell you it's going to be okay. Like, you look for your higher power, you look for, something, you're asking yourself questions. And like I said, it was something that to this day, I probably won't know why, but I dropped on my knees and I just said, just get me to rehab. Ooh. Please, just get me to rehab and I will do as you say. Like, it was just, like I said, during that time too, I was facing charges. So, I had got let out of jail, county time. Like, I was facing 12 to 30 years in prison.
The thing that you said that stays with me the most out of everything, out of this entire testimony, the thing that you said that stays with me the most is the fact that you hit your knees and cried. It says in the book, all right, for people who aren't faithful, I'm not shoving nothing down anyone's throat. I respect and love every single one of y'all. But it says in the book, cry out to me and I'll hear you. I don't know the scripture off the top. I'm telling you, that's God telling me right now, you need to learn that.
Yeah, right? I'm going to have to go back and read that one learn too.
It, right? But almost every single testimony that we have where that change happens is when they've cried out to him. Yeah. Like, not, hey, please, it's crying out. Yeah. You know, and I think that's so powerful, dude.
Yeah, it was a powerful moment. And like I said at that time, now that I talk about it and I share my testimony, like, I was like, wow, like, you know, there's been many a times that I've prayed to God and like, bring my brother back, or why didn't you take me instead? Like, I could care less about life. Like I said, I wasn't always, you know, the happiest. I portrayed myself to be the happiest person, but I wasn't. I was deep down inside. I was dark. I was, you know, like, didn't find purpose. I didn't have purpose. You know, I remember I still call her my sister-in-law because that's my brother. She was the love of, that girl was the love of life for my brother. You know, she would tell me, like, you have your nephew, like, you have to be present in his life. Like, he left you with this gift. You have to, you know, she couldn't understand. But like I said, you can have kids, you can have nephews, you can have nieces. You can have the biggest support in the universe, but you have to have that in you. You have to support yourself. You have to get that in order to have those connections and realize what those connections are for your addiction is you have to just drop and surrender. Like, I basically surrendered to survive.
Man, that's so beautiful, man. That's incredible. It's like the Grinch's heart growing 3 times, right? It's like growing.
I love the Grinch.
Yeah, for real. And did you was it the moment that you cried out, was it like an instantaneous thing? I've heard people talk about, we had a woman in here, shout out to JoJo. She had said that when she was out on the streets, that when she cried out to God, she immediately felt, she couldn't really describe it. She said it just felt like somebody put a warm blanket over her. Yeah. Like, immediately.
It's to me, like, when I hit, it was like kind of like I felt my body being lifted from the ground. I didn't feel weak. I felt, you know, like someone guiding me to the place where I need to go, guiding me to fix my life. I want to say it's the Holy Spirit. I want to say, you know, it's my higher power. I want to say it was just my bloodline. That's the strength, you know, but to this day, you'll never know. And like, you know, some people don't find that light ever, you know, and they have these experiences, you know, these bad experiences. And, you know, but that's why I want to make sure, like, to tell them, you know, you're not alone. Even though you don't feel that light that I felt, like, you have light around you to help you feel that light, you know. Yeah. I guess that's the best way you can say it.
Oh, man, that's incredible, dude. And your journey, has it been an easy one since then?
Heck no.
No?
It has not. I mean, so let me tell you this. In residential, we had to do a vision board. And in my vision board, I had put that I wanted to be a horse owner. That's been my vision since I was little. My mom used to tell me her experiences when they had horses and stuff. But, you know, my mom being a single mom, she couldn't get me a horse. She got me a car, but she couldn't get me a horse. Yeah. And, you know, so I gave myself 5 years. Thankfully, I am now a horse owner.
That's cool.
She's a brat. Her name's Dakota. I also I have a little healer named Stetson. And, you know, that was like, wow, like my dream's coming true, you know, and then it gets to a halt where, you know, unfortunately the company that I work for, they shut down. Income stopped coming in. I'm like, I have a horse. I have, you know, a dog. I have a truck payment now. Like, what am I going to do? In that moment, a long time ago, I would have ran. I would have been like, you know what, screw it. I'm going to lose it anyways.
Yeah.
It's something that I'm very passionate about. So I got another job. I'm working part-time right now, security. Unfortunately, they do have to let me go now because of my felony. I am on probation right now. My felony is drug charges, but you have to get a fingerprint clearance. And unfortunately, like she said, you know, you're an awesome worker. It's not nothing. I did cry. You know, I told my mom, like, I can't catch a break sometimes. Like, it seems like you're sober now and you have all these opportunities, but some of these opportunities fall and you got to be ready for it. You know, like it's not an easy thing. I did actually during my journey of working, I was riding a horse. So let me tell you how I got this job. So I linked up back with Anna, like I said, I'd known her from Pueblo High School. Saw her, she posted something on Facebook. I haven't talked to her since high school. Lost touch with her. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure she would have tried to keep me on a straight path too.
Yeah.
But she, I was looking for a Wrangler, and I was like, I can do this. I love horses, And so I'm like, I love horses. I can do this. So they go to have us do, I was watching YouTube videos like till that next day of my interview. I didn't know it was going to be a working interview.
Oh.
So they had me get on a horse. The guys had to help me up because even though it's not that easy to get on a saddle as some people think it is.
Yeah.
Some people it is, me it's not. I still try until this day. But, I rode a horse, she hired me. My life changed. I had that light and again, and I love horses. My passion for horses, but she's never given up on me. She's like another mom to me. I have my mom. My mom's my mom, and I love her dearly. But she is like there too. So it's great to have these awesome people in my life. But I don't even know where I was going with this story. But
No, you're good. That's the short-term memory.
Right? Oh yeah, that's what I was getting at. So the reason why I have a short-term memory too, besides the drugs, is I got in a horse accident. We were riding. I finally got comfortable with it's called loping, but the horses go really freaking fast.
Yeah.
Wasn't ready for the turn. I cracked my ribs on a brick pillar. Tried to get up and I couldn't breathe. I couldn't. My coworkers, they knew I was in recovery. They're like, they're asking, do we give her pain meds? Because I was just screaming the whole time that I couldn't breathe. And they're like, yeah. So they felt like, hey, everybody was scared in the moment because they gave me, the Laudin, which is really, really freaking strong. Like,
yeah.
And so going through that recovery was, I didn't get addicted to pills. I didn't get, and that right there was like, I can do this, man.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, just 2 months ago, I went back into the hospital because I needed my gallbladder out. I mean, not my gallbladder. I'm sorry. I had gallstones. Very painful. Again, here comes like the pills and we can do this, you know what I mean? And like, I took one as needed, but being able to, like I said, if this was probably a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, like, would I be able to have done that? No, I would have abused it. So like I said, just going through this journey hasn't been easy. There's been a lot of challenges, but as I know, I want more of sobriety than I did addiction. Wow,
that's incredible. What would you say to somebody out there who may be on the fence? Maybe they haven't reached their rock bottom yet, and they're afraid. Like, how listening to your story, like, how is this possible? How is this person? Is this real? You know what I mean? Like, what can you say to them?
It's so funny you asked me that because my cousin asked me the same question this morning, and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to answer that. It's just like, well, they're probably going to ask you, so you got to know how to answer it. And I'm like, well, I still don't want to answer it. So I've been thinking about that. What I would tell them is like, as those times to think about, like when you were scared to be on your own out there, when you were scared, there's always that moment, no matter how high you are, you're scared. You're scared. You don't have to be scared of change. You don't have to be scared to find yourself, like, take off that mask that's holding you back from change. As far as like, if in that final moment, like if you feel like you are lost and you feel like there's no hope for you, or if you feel like, how did I say this? Like, feel like you're lost, there's no hope, you feel like it's just better to end your life. It's not, because your story, what you went through, can help that person who's feeling the way you're feeling right now. Like, don't sit there and beat yourself up to it. Even to this day, like, I would still try to beat myself over things. And like, like you asked me earlier, like did I forgive myself and my brother? Like, yeah, I did. And I had to, but it took me years. It's never too late to change. It's never too late to find that there is another paradise out of the addiction world, out of the drug world. The way I see it is like, you think that you're alone, but at the same time, my fear was also having an out-of-body experience of seeing everybody at my funeral and to knowing that I had support. And if you don't have support, meet people. The NA program has been a very awesome program for me as well. I've met a lot of people who don't have the support I do, but let me tell you, I will be your support. You know, I have a sponsor. She's amazing. I have to call her every morning just to like give her a hard time, and she laughs at me. You know what I mean? Like, she gives me a hard time. It's just something that we do. Find that connection with someone. Find you a sponsor. Find you a counselor. Find that one person. I like to use this term, but that you zing with. It's from Hotel Transylvania. You know, find your zing.
Yeah.
And you just have to find your zing. Like, don't. That's why I feel like I have to, not have to, but I really want to put my whole heart and soul of being a recovery support specialist to those people who are lost, those people who feel like they cannot get to rehab. You can get to rehab, you know, it's going to be a struggle. It's going to be painful. But let me tell you, after that pain and struggle, even, you know, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. You know, all that pain and struggle you went through, if you did go through the abuse, if you sexual abuse, even if you never had any of that, you just fell into drugs, like, there's still a light at the end of the tunnel. Like, your story is going to impact somebody's life and change somebody's life, you know. I've lost a lot of friends to addiction. I've lost a lot of friends to relapse, you know, and at that moment, like, I still to this day, you know, no, I can't save everybody, but I'm wonder, like, if I would have said this to that person, would they have not done it, you know? But if I can't live on that moment, but I can live on the moment of saying that to somebody now, like, hey, maybe my story will help you come through, like, you know, maybe your story is worse than mine, and I want to hear it, so that way I can help you find your light, or you can help me find that light in helping someone else, you know? So
yeah.
That's the best way to explain it,
man. Dude, you killed it. That was incredible. No, for reals, dude. Kasey, I really want to thank you so much for coming. Everyone else, man, get up out your seats. Please give it up to my homegirl again.
Thank you.
That was absolutely fantastic, man. And thank you so much for the beautiful energy. You know, I'm gonna send this episode to Mike as soon as we're ready to go. Hopefully you can check it out.
Tell him I'm looking for a job.
Yeah, no, for sure. Hey, Mike,
I'm ready.
She's awesome. She's awesome. And, you know, just thank you so much for coming through and sharing your testimony. Seriously, man, that meant the world to me, and this made my whole week. It really did. So
man,
thank you
means
again.
A lot.
You know, for all the listeners out there, thank you guys so much for the continued support. We're going to be going through some changes here, hopefully soon. Things, you know, I appreciate every single one of you guys who continues to ride with us and checking out all of these episodes. Please make sure that if there's somebody in your life that needs to hear this, please send it to them. You know, and if you're out there and you want to be a part of the show, feel free to hit us up. All of the links and stuff are in the show notes of this episode. We are also doing fan mail now, which is freaking awesome. So if you go onto the show notes of the episode, you're going to see a little thing that says to send us a text. It's anonymous. You can send us a text message, say that you love the show, say that you hate the show, say Ray's got a big ass head, whatever you want to say. We're going to put all that out there. But until next time, man, I hope you guys have a beautiful weekend. Much love. God bless. And we will definitely see you on the next one. Peace. What's going on, everybody? This is Buddha from the ARCast, and I just wanted to thank you for checking out this week's episode. It means a lot, and if you could share it with a friend or a loved one, somebody in need in recovery, or maybe somebody who just needs that little bit of extra positivity in their life, we'd greatly appreciate it. If you would like to join us here on the ARCast, either in the studio live or online, hit us up. The links are down in the show notes of this episode, and on there, you can find direct links to our main website here at Americas Rehab Campus and all of our social media platforms. Follow us. We keep the posts positive and motivational, focused on recovery, health, and wellness. As you know, in this modern day and age, we need as much love as possible, y'all. And as always, if you or somebody you know is in need of substance abuse treatment, please don't hesitate to give us a call. We're open 24 hours a day, and our direct phone number is 1-833-272-7342. Once again, that phone number is 1-833-272-7342. I hope you all have a beautiful rest of your day. Much love and God bless. Peace.